Hi everybody, my name is Christine and I have been reading the Constitution of the United States of America because it is our 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence. So far we've covered Articles 1 through 5, and right now I'm going to cover Article 6. Article 6, I'm going to read it first. All debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. So when they say Confederation, they meant the Confederation of the territories, which will now be states. So they're just saying that they owe money, and they will pay it. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the superior law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of the state to the contrary notwithstanding. So that means that federal law is they say superior, which means above. They had a lot of fights over this because some people wanted the states to be superior to the United States and other people wanted the United States superior to the states. In the end, they wound up deciding that the United States was superior and that any laws known as the supremacy laws must prevail over the state laws. But there are state laws that have nothing to do with federal laws. And the feds can step in if they feel like a state is not following the federal laws. A lot of stuff there to grasp because right now in the United States there are things like sanctuary cities, which and there's also legal marijuana use in some states, but the federal laws say no, marijuana is not legal and you cannot bring it over state lines. So what the federal government did was make it real difficult for the people selling the marijuana in dispensaries, because it was practically an all cash business because they couldn't use banks and stuff, but that's changing too. All of the real crazy things they thought might happen are not happening. I'm not saying that it's problem free, it's just not as bad as they thought. So that's what this means, is that the federal law supersedes the state law, and if the state law says something that is against the federal law, it doesn't matter. The federal law will prevail if they push it, but they don't always push it. Okay. The senators and Republicans before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers of the United States and of the several states shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support the Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. So there we have separation of church and state stated right there. No religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. So they have to take an oath, and oaths have changed over the years. I thought I wrote down the oath somewhere. But I don't remember. But they changed the oath. It used to be a real simple oath, and then they changed it to be very similar to the president's oath. And that is about it for Article 6. It's pretty straightforward and easy to understand. And we'll go right to Article 7. And Article 7 says, The ratification of the conventions of 9 states shall be sufficient for the establishment of this Constitution between the states to ratify the same. So that just means that 9 of the 12 states have to be there, which is 2/3 majority. And what they did when they held this convention, it was a Continental Convention of 1787, and all the states sent representatives to the Congress in order to voice their opinions, so that all of the states were definitely represented. Okay, done in convention by the unanimous consent of the states, present the 7th day of September in the year of our Lord 787, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 12th, in witness thereof we have hereunto subscribed our names. So it's just saying that they agreed. And we have the states of New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. So 55 people attended, 39 men signed it, some were absent. It was a long summer. A lot of these people were farmers and had other obligations and businesses, and they may not have been there at the time that they finished and signed it. So what they had was people who were called Federalists, and those were the people who wanted the federal government to be top tier. And then there were the anti-federalists who thought that the states should be top tier. And like I said, they kind of argued, and a couple of them did not sign because they weren't happy with it. But because their concerns were that a true republic may not happen, and they wanted to make sure the people's voices were heard, not the ones with money. And their concerns about a large standing army and federal court system that could overrule the state courts. They thought that they would it would turn into something like England had, and they didn't want that, and they had concerns. And so out of those concerns came the Bill of Rights, which come next in the Constitution. And that's really good that they did. They got the Bill of Rights out of it. So I am going to name these people because it's amazing how there's so many names here that you may not have ever heard before. And maybe a last name says something to you. It might be a family member that you can go and look up. So the first one is George Washington, President and Deputy from Virginia. From New Hampshire, we have John Langdon and Nicholas Gilman. From Massachusetts, Daniel Gorham and Rufus King. From Connecticut, William Samuel Johnson and Roger Sherman. From New York, Alexander Hamilton. From New Jersey, Will Livingston, David Brearley, William Patterson, Jonah Dayton. From Pennsylvania, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Mifflin, Robert Morse, George Clymer, Thomas Fitzsimmons, Jared Ingersoll, James Wilson, Gouvs Morris, Gouv. I don't know that name. From Delaware, George Reed, Gunning Bedford Jr., John Dickinson, Richard Bassett, Jacob Broom. From Maryland, James McHenry, Dan of St. Thomas Jennifer, Daniel Carroll. From Virginia, John Blair, James Madison Jr. From North Carolina, William Blount, Richard Dobbs Spaight, S-P-A-I-G-H-T, Hugh Williamson, H-U. From South Carolina, J. Rutledge, Charles Cotsworth Pinckney, Charles Pinckney, Pierce Butler. From Georgia, William Few and Abraham Baldwin. And attested was William Jackson. Oh no, William Jackson was the secretary. So after this was done, they had to go and they had to ratify their states to the Constitution. And North Carolina and Rhode Island waited to ratify it until after Congress pass the Bill of Rights. So that was their protest, saying that they wanted to make sure they got the Bill of Rights. And it was already a foregone conclusion that it was ratified because they were only 2 states out of the 12, and so it would get ratified. So that was that. And then we have something that says, in convention Monday, September the 17th, 1787 present, the states of New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Mr. Hamilton from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia resolved that the preceding Constitution be laid before the United States in Congress assembled, and that it is the opinion of this convention that it should afterwards be submitted to a convention of delegates chosen in each state by the people thereof, under the recommendation of its legislature for the assent and ratification, and that each convention assenting to and ratifying the same should give notice thereof to the United States in Congress assembled. Resolved that it is the opinion of this convention that as soon as the convention of 9 states shall have ratified the Constitution of the United States in Congress assembled, should fix a day on which electors should be appointed by the states which shall have ratified the same, and a day on which the electors should assemble to vote for the president, and the time and place for commencing proceedings under this Constitution. A whole lot of words to just say basically what I said a minute ago. They need to ratify it, and they need to pick a time and place to do so. That after such publication, the electors should be appointed and the senators and representatives elected, that the electors should not meet for the day fixed for the election of the president, and should transmit their vote certified, signed, sealed, and directed as the Constitution requires to the Secretary of the United States in Congress assembled, that the senators and representatives should convene at the time and place assigned, that the senators should appoint a president of the Senate for the sole purpose of receiving, opening, and counting the votes for president, and that after he shall be chosen, the Congress, together with the president, should without delay proceed to execute this Constitution. So things have changed a little bit about the votes in the president, so that we don't do that anymore. But basically what they're saying is once all this is ratified, well, we need to elect our Congress, and they're just basically saying, well, after this, let's elect our Congress, and the states need to figure out how, and we need to figure out a date. And now it's all, if you look at the states nowadays, all different days for primaries, all different days. Ours is in March. We have March and November. That's when we do ours here in Illinois, but states are all different on that. And it says, by the unanimous order of the convention, George Washington president and W. Jackson secretary. And that's it. And so now we have a real Constitution, and next we will do the Bill of Rights. So thanks for watching.